Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. This was Monday Night Raw's go-home show for SummerSlam, which is this Saturday. It's going to be from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And Monday Night Raw tonight, this Monday Night Raw, how it is every single week. This show was absolutely horrendous. This was one of the worst Monday Night Raws of the year. Also, this was one of the worst go-home shows. This build to SummerSlam has been fucking terrible. God-awful. The entire first hour of the show tonight was nothing but rematches. Nothing but rematches. Whole entire first hour from 8 to 9 o'clock. Nothing even happened on the show tonight. Nothing happened to get you pumped up for SummerSlam. Absolutely nothing. So what we got tonight? We had Styles versus Matt Riddle. How many times have we seen that? Drew McIntyre versus Veer and Shanky. 2-on-1 handicap match. Absolutely pointless. Damian Priest versus The Miz. Why are these guys still fighting? What are they fighting over? I thought this feud was going to end at WrestleMania, where Damian Priest had Bad Bunny in his corner, and I thought after their WrestleMania match, it was going to end right there. No, Damian Priest is still in a feud with John Morrison and The Miz. Why? What the fuck are they fighting over for? Randy Orton versus Omas. Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy once again. And we had Charlotte Flair also in action tonight. All in all, this Raw was absolutely horrendous. One of the worst go-home shows ever. And one of the worst Monday Night Raws of the year. But anyways, let's get on with the review of this shit show. Monday Night Raw tonight opened up with Randy Orton. Randy Orton made his way out, and he got in the ring. He got on the mic. We had the San Antonio crowd chanting for Orton. Orton ended up saying that people have been asking him all week about why he hit the RKO on Matt Riddle last week. He was saying Matt Riddle just wanted to help, and he just wants to be Orton's friend. Orton ended up saying that there is the problem. He doesn't need friends, and he doesn't need anybody. He went on to say that he would have defeated Styles last week with or without any help. So Orton then reminded us of him winning the world title and ended up saying that he did it all by himself and he doesn't owe anyone anything and that he doesn't owe anyone an explanation. He ended up saying that he is Randy Orton. He's the Viper, the Apex Predator, and Monday Night Raw is his territory. He wanted to say that he proved it to Styles last week and that he will prove it to Omas later on in the night. Orton went on to say that Omas is a monster, not to be taken lightly, an undefeated force of nature, but also a bit of a jackass. So Orton was wondering what he's going to do, and he ended up saying that he's gotten himself into a mess. So fans were chanting RKO. Orton ended up saying that he knows what he's going to do. He's going to hit Omas with the three most dangerous letters in sports entertainment. R, K, and then when he was going to say O, he got interrupted by Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle ended up, of course, riding out on his scooter. So he got into the ring, took off his flip-flops. We didn't have the stupid CGI birds flying, which that was nice to not see, because why do we gotta see when Matt Riddle kicks off his flip-flops, birds, CGI birds flying? It looks absolutely stupid. So Matt Riddle ended up saying that Orton is right, and that he doesn't have to explain himself to anyone, because he knows why he got hit with the RKO. So Orton end up down that. So Matt Riddle end up saying about how Orton was just teaching him, bro, because he has been hitting RKOs in his honor, in Randy Orton's honor. So Riddle ended up saying that he learned his lesson. So maybe him and Orton can give this team thing a chance. So Matt Riddle ended up saying that Orton needs him in his corner tonight. So Matt Riddle then proposed the return of RK Bro. And then out came AJ Styles and Omas. Styles got on the mic. He ended up saying, oh, how about RK No? So we had the fans booing at Styles. Styles ended up saying that no one really cares why Orton hit the RKO on Matt Riddle last week. But Styles ended up saying that he enjoyed it and he can do it again or try to RKO himself, and that would be great. Styles wanted to say that last week's win meant nothing. He ended up saying no one can save Orton from Omos, as Omas will defang the Viper. So Styles ended up saying that why should Omos get to have all the fun? Styles ended up saying that he's tired of Matt Riddle and everyone else saying bro all the time. So the fans were chanting bro. So Styles ended up challenging Matt Riddle. And Styles threatened to break Matt Riddle's jaw. So Matt Riddle then accepted the challenge. He ended up saying that he's unstoppable with Randy Orton in his corner. So Matt Riddle ended up challenging Styles to come into the ring and take a thrashing on behalf of RKO. So pretty much that was how the segment ended, but Randy Orton coming out, it was the same segment that we saw last week. It was the same shit. You know, I don't understand how this first hour was nothing but rematches. WWE Creative gotten lazy as always. You know, you can tell this is lazy creative with how this whole first hour went. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had Styles versus Riddle. You know, we've seen this before. So we had Randy Orton. He was walking away from the ring. He was distracting Matt Riddle. So he had the bell. Ended up ringing. Styles ended up attacking on Matt Riddle. Started unloading on him in the corner. So Orton was shown walking up the ramp. Styles ended up pinning the suplex on Matt Riddle. Went for a cover. And Matt Riddle ended up kicking out too. Orton was shown stopping at the stage. He ended up looking back at the ring. So Matt Riddle ended up countering Styles, leveled him with a kick. Riddle then ended up going for a standing moonsault, but he missed. And he ended up hitting the senton on Styles for a 2 count. So Riddle then delivered the backbreaker to Styles for a 2 count. Matt Riddle was then delivering some more strikes to Styles. Styles then ended up coming back. He ended up catching Matt Riddle in an abdominal stretch. And that cut to Randy Orton backstage. Riddle ended up breaking the abdominal stretch, and he ended up slamming Styles. Styles then ended up bringing Matt Riddle down with the Dragon Screw leg whip. Riddle then ended up rolling Styles up for a close 2 count. And at the end of the match, we had Styles end up taking advantage of the match. He ended up attacking from behind, and he ended up bringing Matt Riddle off to the corner. Styles then delivered the Styles Clash on Matt Riddle. Went for the cover. And there you go. Styles ended up winning the match. But overall, we saw this match before. Same shit. You know, it was, okay match, in my opinion, but same shit. And then we saw Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber ended up interviewing Nikki A.S.H., which, this was so cringe. This was absolutely horrible. And they still give Nikki a mic. She is so awful with this new gimmick. So Nikki ended up saying that she's been thinking about her challengers, and she's been thinking about SummerSlam. She ended up saying that she just has to look at herself and remember she wears this outfit for herself and everyone that's just like her. Nikki ended up going on about having confidence in yourself and becoming almost a superhero. She ended up saying that it worked for her and can work for you. This was so cringe, like I said. So she ended up saying that she had the confidence that she can beat Rhea, then retain the title on Saturday at SummerSlam. So that was what Nikki had to say. But like I said, this was cringe. This was awful. So now we had Nikki A.S.H. versus Rio Ripley. Same match that we saw last week. Nothing great happened in this match. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back, we saw Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick ended up stopping Matt Riddle backstage. And Matt Riddle ended up telling Kevin Patrick that he's really sad about Orton walking out on him during his match. So that was what Matt Riddle had to say. And then we had Nikki A.S.H. versus Rhea Ripley. Same fucking match that we saw last week. Nothing new happened here. Do I really need to go over this match? Rhea Ripley ended up getting the win. Riptide on Nikki A.S.H. So there you go. Rhea Ripley ended up winning the match. And also Charlotte was on commentary for the match. Great. Like, we have to hear Charlotte on commentary during this match. So post-match, we saw Nikki was recovering at ringside. Charlotte was taunting at her. Nikki ended up attacking Charlotte, started beating her down. Charlotte then ran to the ring. Rhea Ripley ended up delivering a clothesline to Charlotte. So Charlotte ended up at ringside. Rhea Ripley and Nikki were looking on from the ring. And that was that. Overall, same match that we saw last week. Nothing new happened in this match. And then we saw Jinder Mahal. Sounds like a good Monday Night Raw tonight, right? Good go-home show. No. Fucking awful. Jinder Mahal was backstage with Veer and Shanky, his two goons. So Jinder ended up talking about bringing Veer and Shanky to Monday Night Raw. But I'm saying that McIntyre is still standing. Jinder ended up saying that the handicap match is Veer and Shanky's last chance to take away McIntyre's precious sword, Angela. And then McIntyre will crumble at the feet of the modern-day Maharaja without his sword at SummerSlam. But do you all care about Jinder Mahal versus Drew McIntyre? Who gives a shit? Then we had Veer and Shanky versus Drew McIntyre, 2-on-1 handicap match. This was absolutely boring. So we had McIntyre end up coming out with Angela, the sword, stabbed it into a rock on the stage, had pyro end up going off. So McIntyre ended up walking down to the ring. Then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had MVP. MVP was backstage. He was with a staffer. He was giving a food order to the staffer. So Kevin Patrick ended up approaching MVP. And he ended up asking what to expect from the face-off against Bobby Lashley and Goldberg. MVP then recalled how Goldberg insulted them the last time that he was on Monday Night Raw, and promised that Bobby Lashley won't take it lightly, and that he will pay Goldberg back tonight or at SummerSlam. And that was that. MVP ended up walking off. But basically, MVP, at the beginning, he was given food order. I guess he loved he wants some catering food. I guess the catering backstage was good tonight. So, and then we went back to the ring for the 2-on-1 handicap match with Veer and Shanky versus Drew McIntyre. So, if McIntyre ended up winning the match, Veer and Shanky would be banned at SummerSlam from ringside. But if McIntyre ended up losing, he will not be allowed to bring Angela, the Sword, to ringside at SummerSlam. So the match started off with McIntyre and Veer. They were trading shots. Veer ended up calling Shanky in. Veer ended up taking in Shanky. Shanky ended up facing off with McIntyre, started talking trash. McIntyre ended up jabbing Shanky in the face. Shanky ended up turning around the corner, and Shanky was leveling McIntyre with a big boot. And the match ended with McIntyre delivering the Claymore to Shanky. He ended up covering Shanky, and there you go. Drew McIntyre ended up winning the match. So Veer and Shanky are banned from ringside this Saturday during McIntyre's match with Jinder Mahal. But, like I said, who gives a shit about McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal at SummerSlam? That would be a bathroom break for me. Post-match, Veer ended up going to grab Angela, the Sword. McIntyre ended up dropping Veer with a suplex on the floor. McIntyre then grabbed the Sword, ended up staring down Jinder. So McIntyre was taunting Jinder over Veer and Shanky being banned from ringside. And McIntyre was mocking Shanky while Shanky was still down. And McIntyre was seating over Jinder, costing him the Money in the Bank match. So McIntyre ended up saying that he's known Jinder for many years. Of course, they were in 3MB together. But who really liked 3MB? With Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre, and Heath Slater. That was awful. 3MB was awful. So he ended up saying that at SummerSlam, he's not just going to beat him. He's going to embarrass and humiliate Jinder and create a moment in Jinder's expense that will live forever. So McIntyre ended up getting the fans to vote who thinks Jinder will win at SummerSlam. So the fans were cheering for McIntyre, and that was that. But overall, this 2-on-1 handicap match was boring, and it was absolutely pointless. But like I said, who gives a shit about McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal? So then we saw Charlotte Flair. Charlotte ended up approaching Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce backstage. Charlotte ended up saying she was just doing her job when Nikki ended up attacking her. So Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce ended up telling Charlotte that she can wait and get revenge at SummerSlam. Or Charlotte could find a partner and they will sanction a tag team match for later on in the night. Charlotte ended up saying no because she doesn't play well with others. So Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce were like to Charlotte, you could take it or leave it. So Charlotte then walked off, giving it some thought, but you all know a tag team match was going to be coming. Oh, and then we had John Morrison end up coming out. So John Morrison was not happy because they showed the clip of when Damien Priest got the win over him last week, and The Miz ended up standing up from his wheelchair, and The Miz started running off. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had a vignette of Elias, the same vignette from last week, where he ended up tossing his guitar into the fire, and that he declared that Elias is no more. Elias is dead. So they're teasing, Elias with a new gimmick change. So then we went back to the ring. John Morrison was in there, and he ended up welcoming everyone to the debut of the most moist talk show in WWE, called Moist TV. How awful is this? This whole segment was so fucking awful. It was absolutely torture. And in the ring, we had a pool that had rubber duckies in it. And then we had an inflatable, I think it was a pool of a white dog. It was an inflatable of a white dog. It might have been a pool or just a floaty. Who cares? And then, bringing up last week's Moist Miracle when The Miz got up from his wheelchair and ran away. So Morrison then introduced his guest on Moist TV, who of course was The Miz. So The Miz ended up coming out, and with the talk shows, I'm like, how many talk shows does WWE need? We have Moist TV, Miz TV, Ding Dong Hello. How many talk shows does WWE need for a segment? So Miz ended up coming out. Morrison ended up asking The Miz if he was pretending to be injured. So The Miz went on and he ended up saying that he's never lied to Morrison. And then Damien Priest ended up coming out. Damien Priest ended up taunting The Miz for being a liar. He ended up saying that he likes Moist C TV better than Miz's Must See TV. I don't like neither, in my opinion. I don't like Moist TV from what we saw tonight, and don't like Miz TV. So Priest ended up starting to pop between Miz and Morrison. He was asking why Miz had Morrison wheel him around for weeks. Damian Priest then also mentioned how he will win the United States Championship from Sheamus at SummerSlam. So The Miz was ranting to Damian Priest about how he's never been injured and is the most durable superstar in history. So The Miz ended up admitting that he was cleared a few weeks ago, and it came as a surprise to John Morrison. Miz ended up saying that he's still not 100%. So Damian Priest ended up saying that it looked like he was 100% last week. So The Miz ended up telling Morrison how Damian Priest is just trying to spin things like they do on Miz TV. So Morrison then proposed a match for The Miz. Have The Miz versus Damian Priest. So Damian Priest ended up liking the idea. Miz didn't really like it. So The Miz ended up pleading with Morrison. And Damian Priest ended up shoving The Miz down into the pool that was full of water and the rubber duckies. So pretty much that was basically how the segment ended. Awful fucking segment. So god-awful. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, The Miz was on the mic. He was yelling at the referee. He was yelling to the referee about him still being injured and how he's not dressed to compete. He's still wearing his Gucci shoes. And The Miz was like, oh, I don't want to have my return match in a crap town like San Antonio, which got boos from the San Antonio crowd. And then Sheamus ended up coming out, the United States champion. He made his way out. He was taunting Damian Priest, and Sheamus was on commentary during the match, which was The Miz versus Damian Priest. Which, the match, how many times have we seen Miz and Damian Priest go at it? Nothing new happened in this match that we haven't seen the other previous times that they had matches. So the match started with The Miz going out to the floor. He was having some words with Sheamus. Damian Priest then came from behind, ended up taking out The Miz. He brought The Miz back into the ring. Damian Priest ended up staring Sheamus down as he went to work on The Miz. So The Miz ended up fighting back. He ended up dropping Damian Priest over the top rope. Miz was still selling his knee being injured. He was still selling him not being able to compete at 100%. He was still not 100% able to compete. He was still, like I said, selling the injury. So Miz was kicking while Damian Priest was on his knees. Priest ended up dodging a kick from The Miz and then took him out. So The Miz ended up trying to get the dripstick, but Morrison didn't want to give it to The Miz. So The Miz wasn't happy as John Morrison ended up walking away to the back. So Miz ended up turning around. Damien Priest ended up dropping The Miz with the right hand. Priest then ended up mocking Sheamus as, Priest was doing the bro, ready for the bro kick, which Sheamus always does. So he was mocking Sheamus. So Damien Priest then ended up hitting The Miz with the bro kick. And he went for the cover. And there you go. Damien Priest ended up winning the match. Post-match, Sheamus was shown seething. He ended up standing on the announce table. He ended up calling Damien Priest a disrespectful scumbag for using the bro kick. Sheamus then ended up telling Damien Priest to enjoy the moment because Priest will never get his grubby hands on the United States Championship. So Sheamus ended up saying that he's going to knock Priest's head off his shoulders with the bro kick at SummerSlam. So that was that. But overall, nothing new happened in this match with The Miz and Damien Priest. It was the same shit that we saw the other times that they both had a match. And then we saw Eva Marie. Eva Marie was backstage with Doudrop. So Doudrop ended up blaming the loss on Lily last week. Eva ended up hushing Doudrop. She ended up saying Doudrop better be glad the evolution is all about second chances. More like the Borlution. So Eva ended up saying that before she takes care of the Alexa Bliss problem at SummerSlam, Doudrop should go to Bliss's playground to take care of the Lily problem. So Eva ended up sending Doudrop off to bring Lily to her. So then we saw Alexa Bliss and Lily at the playground. Alexa Bliss ended up telling Lily that Doudrop is coming to play with them. But Lily better be on her best behavior. So that was that. And then Monday Night Raw went back to commercial. So you know what's worse about this? We're again Alexa Bliss versus Eva Marie at SummerSlam. This match does not need to be on the SummerSlam card. It doesn't. This match should easily be on the pre-show. Why is this on the SummerSlam main card? That would be my bathroom break right there. And I think that would be all of your bathroom breaks once that match comes on. Man, I feel bad for the people who are going to be at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas that have to watch that match and watch Eva Marie in the ring. I pray for all of you. So then we saw the Miz and John Morrison backstage. And there was issues with the Miz and John Morrison after what happened in the match where Morrison didn't give the Miz the dripstick, and Morrison ended up walking to the back. But the Miz and John Morrison, they end up patching things up. They're brainstorming their ideas for SummerSlam, and while they're brainstorming, all we see is Kofi and Xavier standing behind them. The New Day. They were standing behind the Miz and John Morrison, and I found this funny where they were both advertising their merchandise. So they were just holding up their shirt, which I thought was funny. But that was that. So the Miz and John Morrison patched things up. We all thought that John Morrison was going to break away from the Miz, which that would have been good if it happened, because John Morrison should get away from the Miz. But WWE, they had the Miz and John Morrison patch everything up. So they're going to still be together as a tag team. God help us. So then we saw Alexa Bliss backstage with Lily. Alexa Bliss is excited to put an end to Eva Marie and her evolution at SummerSlam, which I hope she does. So then Doudrop ended up appearing. Doudrop ended up snatching Lily from Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss ended up saying that she wouldn't do that if she were Doudrop. So Doudrop ended up staring down at Lily, and she was just looking at Lily like. And then she handed Lily right back to Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss ended up thanking Doudrop, and she ended up laughing, and that was that. And then we had Mace versus Mansoor. Very quick match. Bell ended up ringing. Mace ended up manhandling Mansoor, and he ended up delivering a huge power throw to Mansoor across the ring. Mace ended up stomping on Mansoor's back, ended up applying the camel clutch. Mace was continuing to dominate on Mansoor as Mustafa Ali and T-Bar were watching from ringside. At the end of the match, Mustafa Ali ended up kicking Mace in the face from ringside because Mace ended up dropping down on Mansoor for a roll-up, and that led to Mustafa Ali kicking Mace in the face and allowed Mansoor to roll Mace over to get the pin. And there you go. Mansoor ended up winning the match. And that was that. Overall, same, match. Instead of having Mace and T-Bar versus Mustafa Ali and Mansoor, now we're going to have one-on-one matches where we saw Mace versus Mansoor tonight. Next week, we're probably going to get T-Bar versus Mustafa Ali. And now we're going to go back to having a tag team match with Mace, T-Bar, Mustafa Ali, and Mansoor. So then we had Sarah Schreiber. Sarah Schreiber ended up stopping Styles and Omas backstage. She was asking about Matt Riddle and Omos' match with Randy Orton. Omas ended up cutting Styles off, ended up saying about Orton is known as the Legend Killer. But tonight he's going to kill the legend. That is Randy Orton. Styles ended up saying that Omos is right, and that Omos is going to be the new Legend Killer. Styles went on to say that he beat that moron Matt Riddle earlier in the night. So that makes him the Moron Killer. So Styles ended up saying that tonight they're going to celebrate the death of RK Bro. So that was that. But really? Who wrote that for Styles? Oh, that makes me the Moron Killer. Who writes this shit? Moron Killer. So then we had Omos versus Randy Orton. So we had Randy Orton end up coming out first. And then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Orton was waiting in the ring. Omos and Styles end up coming out. Orton and Omos end up staring each other down. Match ended up starting. Orton ended up trying to go for a quick RKO, but Omos ended up shoving him away. Omos ended up backing Orton towards his corner. Orton ended up dodging a shot from Omos, and Omos ended up scooping Orton up, holding him in the air, and then he slammed Orton in the middle of the ring. So Omos ended up grounding Orton, ended up squeezing Orton's head. Orton ended up trying to get up as fans were rallying for him to get back up to his feet, but Omos was dominating. Omos ended up sending Orton into the corner and ended up missing a run splash because Orton ended up moving out of the corner. Orton ended up fighting back, started delivering some strikes, but Omos ended up dropping him. So Omos ended up shoving Orton out of the ring to the floor near Styles. Styles then ended up attacking Orton at ringside. The referee ended up seeing that, and the referee ended up calling for the match. So Randy Orton won the match by disqualification. Post-match, Styles ended up throwing a fit. He grabbed Orton to send him back into the ring. So Styles was talking strategy with Omos. Omos ended up tossing Orton through the ropes out to the floor by the commentary table, by the announce table. Omos ended up launching Orton over the barricade with one arm. Orton was then brought back into the ring, and Styles ended up delivering a phenomenal forearm. And Matt Riddle ended up coming out. Matt Riddle then rushed to the ring. He ended up drop kicking Omos into the announce table. Riddle then unloaded on Styles, ended up knocking him out to the floor. So Riddle was challenging Omos to come into the ring and get some from him. So Omas ended up realizing that. He ended up jumping off the apron. Omos ended up picking Styles up onto his shoulders, carrying him away. So Matt Riddle then turned his attention to Randy Orton. An RK Bro chant was starting up. Matt Riddle was offering Randy Orton his hand, and Matt Riddle ended up helping Orton up. Orton then got on the mic. He ended up saying, "Respect is something not just handed out for free. It's earned." And although in the past he did respect Matt Riddle, that doesn't mean he respects Matt Riddle today. Orton then went on to say that after everything he's done to Matt Riddle, Riddle still had his back tonight. And so Matt Riddle has earned his respect. So Orton ended up saying, "RK Bro is back." So then Matt Riddle ended up offering his hand to Orton. Orton then shook Matt Riddle's hand. They ended up hugging. Orton ended up pushing Matt Riddle off in a kind of a friendly way. Riddle ended up saying that Orton makes him so happy. This means RK Bro is back together. And he also says that also means that at SummerSlam, they're going to challenge AJ Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championship. So Styles and Omos were furious on the stage, and that was that. But I see maybe two things happen at SummerSlam. Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, they could possibly win the Raw Tag Team titles at SummerSlam, or Randy Orton could turn heel on Matt Riddle, and that will give Styles and Omos the chance to retain the titles. So either two things that could happen, like I said. But my chances, I'm going with the second. I think Randy Orton is going to turn heel on Matt Riddle, and Styles and Omos are going to retain the titles. So I possibly see that happening. I may be wrong on that. Possibly, maybe the first one that I said. Maybe Matt Riddle and Randy Orton could win the titles. So, but I'm going with the second one that I mentioned. That's going to happen. And then we saw Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was backstage with Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick ended up asking Jeff Hardy why he requested a rematch against Karrion Kross tonight. Jeff Hardy ended up saying that he's angry over last week's post-match attack. He ended up saying that he prayed about it, and his higher power told him Karrion Kross disrespected him. He ended up saying that Kross better check his little hourglass because his 15 minutes of fame are almost up. So Karrion Kross then suddenly attacked Jeff Hardy from behind, and Kross was yelling, "TikTok," and he had to head into the ring, and that was that. But Karrion Kross, he's going to be losing the title to Samoa Joe at TakeOver. So Samoa Joe is going to be your new NXT champion. So we got Karrion Kross versus Jeff Hardy. Very quick match. Did this really need a rematch tonight? So Karrion Kross was pacing the ring, and out came Jeff Hardy. So the bell ended up ringing. Jeff Hardy and Karrion Kross ended up going at it. So Jeff Hardy was mounting some of his offense on Karrion Kross. Jeff Hardy was getting the crowd hyped up. He ended up trying to go for the twist of fate, but Kross ended up blocking it. And he immediately brought Jeff Hardy down with the Kross jacket. So Kross ended up tightening the Kross jacket on Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy was starting to fade, and he then tapped out, so Karrion Kross ended up winning. Very quick match. Did this match, like I said, did we really need a rematch? This should not have been on the show tonight. So then Eva Marie was backstage. Eva Marie was backstage pacing. Doudrop ended up walking up. Eva Marie was upset over Doudrop not bringing Lily to her. So Eva ended up saying that this is like a slap in the face. She ended up asking Doudrop if she knows what a slap in the face feels like. So Eva then ended up slapping Doudrop in the face. She then slapped her once again. And that was that. But maybe Doudrop at SummerSlam, she is going to be away from Eva Marie after what we saw right here. Eva Marie slapping Doudrop. I think after this, Doudrop is going to finally get away from Eva Marie. Good. Oh, and then we went to this shit. We went to the Jobber 24/7 title. The Jobber Ninja Turtle 24/7 title. With Reggie, he was at a local park. Reggie ended up talking about not having the safest childhood growing up. And that he could always go to the park and be safe and have a good time. So he suddenly got attacked by Akira Tozawa and R-Truth, which R-Truth was disguised as a bush. So there was a referee there, and Tozawa and R-Truth were chasing that after Reggie. Reggie flips around the park, does his Circus Soleil flips. Reggie ended up hopping in his car and ended up driving away. So R-Truth and Tozawa were arguing. Who fucking cares? This was awful. This title needs to be retired. Like, seriously. It's not funny anymore. So then we had Nikki A.S.H. and Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte and Nia Jax, which Nia Jax was Charlotte's opponent. But before that match got underway, we saw a new vignette from Elias. So there was now a tombstone for Elias. We end up looking at what's left of the fire that he threw his guitar in last week. So there was a tombstone that said Elias, 2017 to 2021. He kept saying that WWE stood for Walk with Elias. But Elias is dead. So Elias then walked away from the tombstone, and he ended up burning the remains of the guitar. So that was that. And then we went to the match. Of course, Nikki A.S.H., Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte, and Nia Jax. I did not give a shit. So the match ended up starting with Nikki ended up yelling at Nia Jax. Nia Jax ended up rocking Nikki with a strike. She ended up turning her back, but Nikki ended up attacking. Nikki then ended up on Nia Jax's back with a sleeper. Nia Jax then rammed Nikki into the turnbuckles. Nia Jax then ended up doing a hip attack in the corner. And she ended up rubbing her rear in Nikki's face. She was doing Rikishi here. Yeah, we all remember Rikishi with the stink face. So Nia Jax ended up keeping control of the match until Charlotte ended up coming in. So Charlotte ended up leveling Nikki at ringside with a boot. And Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Nikki ended up getting the tag to Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley started unloading on Charlotte with some clotheslines. Rhea Ripley ended up keeping Charlotte down. She ended up knocking Nia Jax off the apron. And Shayna Baszler was watching the match backstage. She had a deck of cards in hand. So Nia Jax ended up catching Rhea Ripley, delivered a Samoan drop. She ended up going to the second rope. Nia Jax ended up going to the second rope, delivered a Vader bomb, but she ended up stopping to smack her own rear. So Charlotte ended up tagging herself in by smacking Nia Jax on the backside. Nia Jax wasn't happy about that. So Charlotte ended up going in to hit the natural selection on Rhea Ripley. So there you go. Charlotte and Nia Jax ended up winning the match. So let me get this straight. Rhea Ripley won the match earlier in the night to Nikki A.S.H. And this time, Charlotte ended up winning for her and Nia Jax. So this makes Nikki lose twice tonight in the span of 3 hours. Nikki ended up losing to Rhea Ripley, which that match is completely pointless now because Rhea Ripley lost here. And Nikki lost the match right here. So there you go. Nikki ended up losing 2 times tonight. 2 times in the span of 3 hours. So then we had Styles, AJ Styles. He was backstage with Kevin Patrick. Styles ended up telling Kevin Patrick that he's not happy about how RK Bro have no chance at winning the Raw Tag Team Championship at SummerSlam. Styles ended up going on about how they've beaten everyone else and says there's no one else but him and Omas. He ended up saying that there's 5 days left until SummerSlam, and he guarantees Randy Orton will despise Matt Riddle within those 5 days. So that was that. And then we had Goldberg end up coming out. WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg. So fans were chanting for Goldberg. Goldberg then came to the ring. Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Goldberg ended up saying, "What's up to San Antonio?" Goldberg ended up saying that before he addresses SummerSlam, he has something important to talk about. He ended up bringing up how MVP and Bobby Lashley brought his son into a promo last week, and for the second week in a row. Goldberg ended up mentioning how it's been about 2 years since he moved his family to Texas. Goldberg then introduced his son, who was sitting at ringside. Goldberg ended up saying that his son is why he came out of retirement, and his son can get online these days to see who his dad was, but that won't cut it. He ended up saying that he needs his son front and center to see who Goldberg is, who his father is. And then MVP ended up coming out, along with Bobby Lashley. So Lashley then raised the WWE Championship on the stage. MVP ended up talking about how Goldberg has been doing a lot of talking as of late. MVP ended up believing that Goldberg is overcompensating for something because he sees he's undermatched. He went on about how Goldberg locked eyes with Bobby Lashley and saw it was going to be different this time because for the first time he's ran down on someone more dangerous, more explosive, more dominant than Goldberg. So Lashley and MVP end up coming into the ring. Lashley ended up saying that he gave Goldberg every chance to bow down, walk away, and save himself the embarrassment. But he ended up saying that Goldberg is too damn stubborn and hard-headed. So now he will play by the house rules and around here. And he ended up saying that the house always wins. So Bobby Lashley ended up saying that he will leave Goldberg with just enough to go tell his family how he had his career ended by the Almighty. So Bobby Lashley got in Goldberg's face. Goldberg ended up saying that everything Bobby Lashley just said to him is bullshit. So both Lashley and Goldberg, they both dropped their mics. Lashley ended up turning around. He ended up pacing. Goldberg then ended up ducking a big right hand by Bobby Lashley. And he ended up delivering a spear to Bobby Lashley. And all it took for was one spear for Bobby Lashley to go down. So Goldberg exited the ring. He ended up greeting his son at ringside. And we had Goldberg's music end up starting up again. So that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, who cares for this match? Who cares for Bobby Lashley and Goldberg? This match shouldn't be happening. This should have originally been Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, But we all know we're not going to get that. WWE is not going to do it. That's going to be another Undertaker versus Sting. How we all hoped to see Undertaker versus Sting. But unfortunately, Undertaker is retired. We're not going to get that match. And like I said, that's going to be just how Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley is going to be. It's not even going to take place. This Monday Night Raw tonight was one of the worst Monday Night Raws ever. And one of the worst go-home shows. Absolutely horrendous was this Monday Night Raw tonight. But anyways, that's it for the Monday Night Raw review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and until the next video, I'll see you all later.